Welcome back to our channel. Shirley MacLaine, 90, is finally revealing the family's secrets. The celebrity recently disclosed the reason behind her years-long silence with Warren Beatty. He was referred to by her as the lovely one. However, they were arguing behind closed doors over Hollywood jealousy, UFO sightings, and Daddy's drinking issue. She acknowledges that she totally misjudged him and now reveals the thing that ended their relationship. Hollywood's most well-known siblings have a messier reality than anyone could have predicted. In Richmond, Virginia, Shirley MacLaine was born on April 24, 1934. Although they belonged to the middle class, her family had lofty goals. Her father, Ira Owens Beatty, was a school administrator, realtor, and psychology professor. He even had a hobby of playing music. Her mother, Kathleen Corinne Beatty, was a Nova Scotian acting instructor. She loved the arts and had an idealistic disposition. With a bright future already in mind, she named her baby after Shirley Temple. In the home where Shirley was raised, creativity and discipline were at odds. Her father was stern and frequently out of reach. Her mother was not always emotionally there, but she did support artistic expression. Their strict standards forced Shirley to become self-reliant at a young age. Her younger brother, Warren, was born in 1937. Later on, he would become a well-known director and actor. They had a supportive and competitive relationship that shaped them differently as they pursued their careers. Shirley claimed to have orphaned psychology a lot. She had to learn things on her own because her parents were preoccupied with their own lives. By the time she was 11, she was traveling alone to ballet class and school using buses and street vehicles. Unlike most children, she had time to reflect about life during these solitary excursions. Money was scarce, and the globe was engulfed in Globe War II. They weren't an impoverished family. But things were difficult. Those hardships weighed heavily on Shirley, who believed she deserved better for herself. She chose to utilize her circumstances as inspiration to have higher dreams rather than feeling sorry for herself. She developed a passion for acting at the age of 2.5. Her mother enrolled her in ballet classes in an attempt to improve her weak ankles. A straightforward health solution turned into something much more. Her flight. It provided her self-expression, discipline, and organization. She began performing with the Washington School of Ballet when she was 16 years old. She pushed herself to the utmost while working hard. Just before she took the stage as the fairy godmother in one of her Cinderella performances, she shattered her ankle. She danced despite the pain, wrapping her ribbons tighter instead of giving up. She demonstrated her resolve in that moment, a quality that would come to define her career. Although Shirley was preoccupied with her own goals, she was also a strong guardian, particularly of Warren. When he got into difficulties, she protected him and looked out for him. Going to the movies and daydreaming about the future took up a lot of their time together. Their trajectories in Hollywood diverged as they grew older. However, their friendship remained strong. Shirley still felt sorry for Warren even after he was implicated in the well-known Oscar shuffle in 2017 and unintentionally declared the incorrect Best Picture winner. She was aware of the difficulty of that situation. Shirley MacLaine was clear about her goals from an early age. In Arlington, Virginia, she went to Washington Lee High School. She never felt that school was her true calling, though. She took a chance rather than waiting to graduate. She left school to pursue a career on Broadway in New York City. She wasn't scared of the unknown, even though it was a brave step for someone so young. She was cast in the chorus of Rodgers and Hammerstein's musical Me and Juliet, 1953-54, when she was 18 years old. Although it was her first exposure to Broadway, she desired more. She took over as Carol Haney's understudy in The Pajama Game in 1954. She chopped off her hair to make herself more like Haney because she knew this could be her big break. She wanted to be prepared for the role if it ever came up. The time arrived sooner than anticipated. During a Wednesday matinee, Haney broke her ankle a few days after the show's debut. It was time for MacLaine to take over. She entered the stage and performed, grabbing everyone's attention despite having little time to prepare. At this time, money was scarce. She didn't let the fact that meals at automats only cost a few cents deter her from frequenting them. Haney continued to perform, and by June 1954 she was well again. MacLaine had the option to return to being an understudy, but an amazing thing occurred. She had been spotted on stage by producer Hal B. O. Wallace. He felt impressed. He immediately landed her a 5-year deal with Paramount Pictures. Her time on Broadway was over in an instant. Her finding was a combination of good fortune and skill. That evening, comedian Jerry Lewis was among those in the audience. His admiration was so great that he instructed Wallace to see her perform. Wallace followed his counsel. Upon witnessing her live, he realized she was a superstar. At first, he gave her $200 a week, which was a respectable amount for a rookie, but her agent pushed it up to $600. She went from being an understudy on Broadway to a rising celebrity in Hollywood in only a few short weeks. She made her cinematic debut in Alfred Hitchcock's dark comedy The Trouble with Harry in 1955. She co-starred with John Forsythe and Edmund Gwynne at the young age of 20. Although the movie didn't do well at the box office, MacLaine's performance was noteworthy. She won a Golden Globe for New Star of the Year and received accolades from critics for her charisma. Before she entered Hollywood, she made a minor but significant adjustment. Although she was born Shirley MacLaine Beatty, she is also known as Shirley Beatty. Was already listed with the Association for Actors' Equity. She chose to go by her mother's maiden name, Shirley MacLaine, to prevent confusion. It was the right decision. Her mother, Kathleen Corinne Beatty, had taught drama and had a passion for both theater and poetry. Later, when he joined Hollywood, her younger brother Henry Warren Beatty followed suit. His name was Warren Beatty. MacLaine had shown that she was more than just a new celebrity. She received her first nomination for an Academy Award that year for Some Came Running. In the Vincente Minnelli-directed movie, Frank Sinatra played a damaged Army veteran named Dave Hirsch, while Dean Martin played his gambling pal Bama Dillard. Played by MacLaine, Ginny Moorhead is a good-hearted but unsophisticated woman who develops feelings for Dave. Her performance was remarkable. Ginny was an intensely loving lady, even if it meant risking her life. Although she was weak, she was susceptible. When she gave her life to save Dave in the movie's pivotal sequence, her journey came to an unfortunate end. MacLaine was commended by critics for giving the character nuance, making what would have been a flat character come to life. The movie was nominated for multiple Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Supporting Actor for Arthur Kennedy. MacLaine's performance, however, had the biggest effect. MacLaine was renowned for his audacious decisions over the years. She declined the part of Princess Leia in Star Wars, 1977, which was one of the most unexpected in the late 1970s. It was given to Carrie Fisher, who created the iconic role. MacLaine never felt regret for passing up such a huge franchise, unlike other actors who might have. The choice may appear strange. Star Wars went on to become one of the most successful movies ever made, but MacLaine has always taken on difficult assignments. The genre of science fiction did not appeal to her. She was attracted to emotionally nuanced, multifaceted personalities. She didn't fit in with Star Wars. And she didn't regret turning to leave. The Apartment, which she starred in 1960, was one of the year's biggest hits. She portrayed Fran Kubelik, an elevator operator entangled in a complex romance who was compassionate but tormented. Along with taking home 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, the picture also became the 7th highest-grossing film of 2008. The performance by MacLaine was remarkable. Her character felt genuine and approachable because of the humor and heartache she brought to the part. She garnered 10 Oscar nods for the film, including 1 for Best Actress. Her next bold role was in Irma la Douce, 1963, in which she played a Parisian prostitute who develops feelings for an unsuspecting police officer. In its day, the movie was daring, addressing topics that were deemed contentious by many. However, viewers adored it, and it was a box office success. One of the rare actresses to gain back-to-back nominations for an Oscar, MacLaine received another nomination. These 2 flicks demonstrated her versatility. At the same time, she was fearless, emotional, and humorous. Hollywood, however, had a practice of boxing performers. The phrase that was used to describe MacLaine as a tomboyish sex symbol never pleased her. She was looking for challenging, serious roles. Determined to escape, she trained under Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio. The training was worthwhile. In 1961, she portrayed a teacher who was accused of having an illicit relationship with another lady in the children's hour. It was a revolutionary movie, addressing topics uncommon in Hollywood at the time. She gave a painful and honest performance. She was gradually showing that she could handle challenging roles and go against the grain. Despite her numerous Oscar nominations by the 1970s, MacLaine continued to push the envelope. She played the lead in the 1976 television movie Sybil, playing a dissociative identity disordered woman. The position was dangerous. Many film studios avoided discussing mental health since it was not a popular subject. However, MacLaine accepted the challenge. She vividly brought the character's hardships to life by portraying 16 unique personalities with exceptional depth. The way that mental illness was portrayed on cinema changed as a result of her performance. She was also awarded an Emmy for it. She portrayed a demanding character in The Turning Point in 1977. In the ballet-themed movie, MacLaine portrayed Dee Rogers, a dancer who sacrificed her career to raise a family. Behind the scenes, she battled an eating condition in secrecy, and the part took a lot of physical preparation. She felt the strain of having to keep up a dancer's body, but she never showed it. Her performance was among her best on screen. Her portrayal of a woman caught between her past and present earned her another nomination for an Oscar. Next came 1983. Following 5 unsuccessful Oscar nominations, she was finally awarded the Academy Award for Terms of Endearment. She portrayed a mother navigating life's ups and downs with her daughter, Aurora Greenway. Deborah Winger portrays the role. With a $165 million global box office total and 5 Oscars, the movie was an enormous hit. MacLaine didn't hold back as she accepted her honor. In her famous words, "I deserve this." For more than one role, it was a win. Years of perseverance, risk-taking, and hard effort in a field that frequently ignored women beyond 40 led to this accomplishment. In 1954, producer Steve Parker wed Shirley MacLaine. There was nothing conventional about their connection. Parker relocated to Japan just 2 years after his wedding, where he rose to prominence among the expatriate population of Tokyo. MacLaine continued to develop her career in Hollywood in the meanwhile. They lived apart for the majority of their nearly 3 decades together. They were known for having an open marriage. Anything that MacLaine discussed with extreme candor. She then disclosed that they had made a conscious decision to make this arrangement. Rather than being a traditional couple, they were more like close buddies. They decided to live apart and interact with others rather than pursuing the conventional notion of marriage. MacLaine thought that ownership had nothing to do with love. She believed that relationships were destroyed by possessiveness and jealousy. Thus, she and Parker came up with their own regulations. In 1954, she freely acknowledged, "I suppose you would say we practiced an open marriage, which was another lifetime." When the public found out about the arrangement, they were shocked because it was unprecedented at the time. For MacLaine, however, it was a logical choice. They stayed together longer than a standard marriage, in her opinion, because of their unusual arrangement. MacLaine was as open about her numerous affairs. Throughout their 28-year marriage, she had affairs with a number of well-known men, including François Mitterrand, a French politician who went on to become president of France. He was, she said, one of the most interesting individuals she had ever encountered. They became close through in-depth discussions and similar ideologies on her trips to Europe. These affairs were never viewed as betrayals by MacLaine. She and Parker were on the same page and neither felt the need to conceal their interactions with other people. She didn't regret anything in retrospect. Personal independence, in her opinion, is crucial for emotional development. MacLaine's marriage was independent, but she had a complex approach to parenthood. Sachi Parker, her daughter Stephanie Sachiko, was born in 1956. Rather than bring her up in Hollywood, MacLaine moved her to Japan to live with Parker. For many years, MacLaine maintained her involvement from a distance while juggling her profession with sporadic trips. Motherhood, she subsequently stated, was her greatest role, but it wasn't the only one. Sachi, on the other hand, thought differently. In her autobiography, Lucky Me, My Life With and Without, Shirley MacLaine discussed her mother. "I often felt abandoned," she wrote. She asserted that her mother's work and religious convictions predated their romance. Many of Sachi's claims were refuted by MacLaine, who acknowledged that it was challenging to strike a balance between ambition and motherhood. Their narrative generated discussions about the costs women incur when deciding between a career and a family. Even so, their marriage dissolved in 1982. The secrecy surrounding the affair was the reason, not the affair itself. MacLaine learned that Parker and a Japanese geisha had a kid together after over 30 years of dating. It was impossible for her to accept this. Parker had betrayed her by keeping this from her, and she had always believed in honesty. It was the same year she filed for divorce. Even after they separated, she referred to him as the love of my life and continued to speak warmly about him. Their split sparked debate about whether open marriages might indeed shield against heartache and envy. It was Parker's dishonesty, not his infidelity, that MacLaine found problematic. MacLaine defended open marriages even decades later. Jealousy is a waste of energy, she said in a 2015 interview. And made the case that love shouldn't be about dominance. She thought monogamy led to disillusionment because it established irrational expectations. She gave credit to her open marriage to Parker for its longevity. Her opinions weren't shared by everyone, but she wasn't attempting to persuade anyone. She merely felt that people ought to reconsider what true love and commitment meant. Warren Beatty and Shirley MacLaine shared a home during their childhood, yet took quite distinct routes. A major source of contention between them was Shirley's candor regarding their family. In her memoirs, she talked of their father's racial beliefs and drinking habits. Warren believed the tales should have remained confidential because they were overblown. There was more tension than that. Additionally, he was incensed when Shirley made fun of his romantic life during an Oscar telecast. But Shirley regretted things of her own. She underestimated him in his youth. She once referred to him as the beautiful one and overlooked his genuine acting ability. It wasn't an easy road for Warren to get to Hollywood. Warren didn't share his aspirations, but Shirley followed her ambitions of dance, Broadway, and eventually movies. As he saw Shirley play the pajama game at the age of 17, he had an epiphany. That's when he realized how powerful performance is. But he kept his aspirations to himself. As a child, he was more engaged in sports and probably thought acting was not something he was truly interested in. His performance in Splendor in the Grass in 1961 changed that. The movie made him famous and demonstrated that he was more than simply a pretty person. By 1967, Warren was well known as a producer in addition to an actor. The movie he directed, Bonnie and Clyde, almost brought the siblings together on screen. When Warren chose to portray Clyde himself, the filmmakers decided to cast Faye Dunaway in her place, even though Shirley was a strong candidate for the Bonnie Parker role. They believed that having siblings in real life pretend to be lovers would be too awkward. After receiving 2 Oscar wins and 10 nominations, the movie became a cinematic landmark. Later, Shirley expressed that she wasn't resentful but questioned why she and Warren never collaborated again. They couldn't have had more unlike personalities outside of Hollywood. Warren was well known for his love adventures. He dated celebrities like Madonna, Julie Christie, and Natalie Wood. In contrast, Shirley had a strong interest in spirituality. She studied the world, reincarnation, and karma, and died in novels like 1983's Out on a Limb. She used to mock Warren about his incapacity to commit to anything, including supper. In 1992, however, Warren married Annette Bening, and Shirley was totally in favor of him. Her guidance helped maintain the connection, and she referred to Bening as the ideal woman for him. The beginning of Shirley MacLaine's metaphysical journey was unexpected. She spotted something odd in the sky in 1952 while she was in Washington, D.C. That year, pilots and civilians witnessed several unexplained objects being tracked on radar during the well-known UFO sightings. Newspapers all throughout the nation reported on this significant occurrence. For MacLaine, however, it was more than just a headline. It was an event that altered her perspective on the world. The sighting caused her to doubt everything. Beyond what individuals could see and touch, was there more to life? Are we part of something bigger than ourselves? She was influenced by these questions for years, which led her to pursue New Age philosophy and metaphysics. She claimed to have seen several UFOs at her New Mexico ranch. She called these encounters profoundly spiritual. She didn't think aliens were only tourists from other planets. They were a component of a greater reality regarding the position of humans in the cosmos. Talking in reincarnation or UFOs was dangerous back then, especially for a Hollywood celebrity. Topics that might make them appear odd or harm their careers were often ignored by actors. MacLaine was indifferent. Both in her novels and in interviews, she was candid about her convictions. She spoke about the idea of superconsciousness, which she claimed linked all living things, and meditation. While some mocked at her bravery, others applauded it. Jokes regarding her ideas were made by late-night comedians. She was derided by critics as strange, but that didn't stop her. She gained as much fame for her writing as for her acting. She wrote more than 15 spirituality-related publications over the years. Among the most well-known was Out on a Limb, which came out in 1983. In addition to being a memoir, it also explored reincarnation, trance-channeling, and past life regression therapy. She explained in the book how hypnosis sessions brought back memories of previous incarnations. She thought she was a monk in Asia once. She lived alongside elephants in India in a previous life. The enigmatic character David, who she described in her writings, was based on actual persons and had helped her on her spiritual path. Through their discussions, she delved into profound issues regarding life and love. A bestseller, the book sold more than 1.2 million paperback copies. However, it also led to increased criticism. Many believed her stories were too strange to be true. The comedians made her a joke. But for some readers, the book changed their lives. A 5-hour ABC miniseries was produced in 1987 as a result of Out on a Limb's success. When MacLaine talked about her spiritual journey on TV, millions of people watched. She had evolved beyond her role as an actress. She was now one of the leading voices in New Age philosophy. Her experiences in previous lives only become more peculiar. She reported recollections of her time spent in Atlantis during hypnosis treatments. It sank into the ocean, and she thought she was there. She claims that the catastrophe occurred as a result of power abuse and avarice. She said that she had been shown these memories by aliens, whom she referred to as star people. It showed that Atlantis was once a significant earthly energy hub. She also thought she had been a Chinese concubine in the past. She used regression therapy to explain the specifics of palace life, including the customs, emotional challenges, and rituals. These previous incarnations were more than just recollections to her. They described aspects of her personality and current relationships. She thought that people's current identities were influenced by their past experiences. She was not taken seriously by everyone. Although many believed her assertions to be unrealistic, she maintained that recollections of past lives had actual significance. She believed that humans may learn from them about their mission and the interconnectedness of all souls. The public wasn't the only one who criticized her views. Additionally, they strained relations with her younger brother, Warren Beatty. One of the biggest stars in Hollywood, he was renowned for his intelligence and practicality. There were issues between them because he didn't share her interest in spirituality. He allegedly once referred to her theories as cosmic gibberish. Temporary estrangement resulted from the comment. It was not only spiritual differences that strained their relationship. They were both well known. And their separation was caused in part by professional rivalry. They seldom ever collaborated and had few public encounters. But their friendship grew softer over time. Later, MacLaine said she could see her brother's skepticism. According to her, each soul had an own journey, and his was just not the same as hers. In Hollywood history, Warren Beatty and Shirley MacLaine are the first siblings to win Academy Awards together. Although their professional trajectories diverged, they all managed to make an impact. In 1984, Shirley won Best Actress for the culturally significant movie Terms of Endearment. Her portrayal of Aurora Greenway, a resilient mother negotiating love and sorrow, struck a profound chord with viewers. The film was a huge success at the time, earning nearly $108 million. Reds, 1981, an epic film about journalist John Reed, awarded Warren Best Director. It received 12 nominations for Oscars, and Warren received nominations for acting, writing, directing, and producing. He accomplished this uncommon feat twice during his career, something that very few other people in Hollywood have done. The two siblings have been nominated for 20 Oscars together. They cemented their reputation as Hollywood royalty with a score of 14 for Warren and 6 for Shirley. A reflection of their long and meticulously crafted professions is their financial success. Having built her fortune via decades of writing, acting, and even spiritual teachings, Shirley is thought to be worth $50 million. Classics like Steel Magnolias, 1989, and The Apartment, 1960, featured her. With works like Out on a Limb, she wrote about her spiritual ideas and personal experiences, and she also became a best-selling novelist. Warren's work as a producer and director has contributed to his even greater net worth of $70 million. Taking advantage of hits like Heaven Can Wait in 1978 and Bonnie and Clyde, he made careful to take on roles where he had creative control. His riches was increased by his work as a director. Reds is among his greatest accomplishments. The only person to ever be nominated twice in his life for an Oscar for acting, directing, writing, and producing is still him. Despite their respective success, they adopted quite distinct strategies. Shirley extended her business into spiritual seminars and television, charging as much as $300 per participant. Warren concentrated on high-budget movies with significant potential for profit but also high risk. Their combined $120 million net worth demonstrates that in addition to their talent, they were adept at navigating Hollywood's commercial world. People Not Places, Shirley's maybe last picture, is being prepared at the age of 90 and is slated for release in 2026. Directed by Brad Furman, who is best known for The Lincoln Lawyer, the film follows an old widow as she confronts her own death and becomes friends with a homeless guy. There have been financial problems with the production. Crew members are reportedly due a total of $245,000. Warren has left the industry at the age of 87. Rules Don't Apply, his final movie, was released in 2016 following a 15-year hiatus. Annette Bening and Lily Collins were among the cast members, but the film failed, earning only $3.9 million out of a $25 million budget. The end of a successful career came as a shock. Because she enjoys sharing stories, Shirley keeps working. Warren has opted to avoid the limelight. Although their careers couldn't have been more dissimilar, they both had a significant impact on Hollywood. Talent and perseverance may propel you to the top, as seen by the legendary status of two Virginia siblings.